There was a time when I thought that confidence would magically arrive after I published my book. Like once it was out into the world, then suddenly I'd feel more brave and unstoppable. But here's what actually happened: the confidence didn't come after publishing, it came while I was writing. Somewhere between these messy drafts and notes and planning and a moment where I thought I completely lost my entire manuscript, a moment where I thought I wasn't going to go through with it and hit publish. That's where I found this version of myself. That's where I started meeting this version of myself that I hadn't met before. And that's when I realized writing isn't just about telling your story, it's a portal, it's a doorway. And it's one that takes you out of this old narrative that you've been stuck in and into a completely new version of yourself. So, if you've ever felt that quiet restlessness, that feeling like you're being called for something bigger, then this episode is for you. Today's riff is about what happens when you choose to step into that portal and let your story be the vessel. When you go beyond the surface and into the depths of who you truly are, you will rise. So I remember back in 2013 being in a room filled with passionate entrepreneurs and leaders and watching them at the front of the room telling their story, inspiring all of us that were in the room and in the audience, and activating something in me that said, I want to be that person. And it was very far from who I was. I had this deep knowing that there was more for me, more to my life. And at the time, I was on the path of, I was in college, so go to school, graduate, find a job in your field. But then one day I ended up in this room with all these people, all these leaders, and I felt like a world that I never knew existed had just been revealed to me. I always say that this is like a moment of walking through that wardrobe and going to Narnia. And I kept coming back. I kept coming back to these events, and one day that invitation came my way. Would you like to open up the event and share your story? And I said yes. I said yes, but I will be so honest with you. Fears were there, self doubt was there, but I didn't let myself sit in the fear and the doubt for too long. And the thing is one yes led to so many opportunities that I never would have fathomed. And we're talking more storytelling events, podcasts, speaking competition, and finally the idea to write my book. And I ran with it. I ran when the idea came to write a book, I ran with it. And at the back of my mind, I thought, this is going to give me more credibility and more confidence. Because it was the thing that I struggled so much with, was just this confidence, having this confidence in myself and not wavering in it, standing up for something that I believed in. And I thought that that feeling, that confidence was going to come after I published my book, but I was so wrong. Confidence ended up being a side effect from the choice to write my book. And the act of writing my story, through every word, every chapter, every sentence, the manuscript that I almost lost, a huge moment of self doubt where I said, I'm not going to publish this. And just everything that I unearthed through that journey and through that process gave me the courage to stand in my power. to believe in myself, to have this confidence, and meeting the version of me who was owning her story became this catalyst to everything that followed. Speaking opportunities, my self-publishing agency, the Studio Press, and a new chapter that I'm embarking on where my brand is really going to be about weaving in writing, ancestral healing, and the plant medicine of cacao. And so, to put it simply, I feel like now I'm living a life where things are feeling so aligned with who I am. And it all stems from my story and my journey. And what I've realized now is that that portal, that thing that we are waiting for to feel about ourselves, to experience, that doesn't come when we feel ready. It doesn't open when the book is on the bookshelf, or when people are clapping for you, or when someone says like, "Wow, that was amazing." That moment, actually, it all happens the moment that you say yes. Because that choice, the choice to write the first sentence, the choice to stand up and speak, even when your voice feels very shaky, the choice to stop hiding your story, that's the threshold. That's the line between the old you and the new you. The thing that you want so much from me in my journey and my experience was confidence. That was my threshold. That's what I was teetering between. And that choice is what allowed me to experience confidence and finally feel that. And so it doesn't always look like this big life changing moment from the outside, right? But on the inside, it's everything. And here's the thing about stepping through that threshold. Once you cross it, the world on the other side is never what you imagined. It's usually so much richer, so much more than you could have ever imagined or ever even fathomed. And I had this moment as well, crossing this threshold, recently or a few years ago. I wrote an article on Medium that I was honestly very terrified and nervous to publish. And now, if you know me, you know that I don't shy away from vulnerability. My entire brand has been built on vulnerability and sharing my story to inspire transformation. But this one felt different, it felt very raw. And the article was called "Stop Asking Me When I'm Going to Have Kids." At the time, I wasn't sure that I even wanted children. And every time someone asked me about it, particularly in my family, I felt this discomfort. And the thought of putting my truth out there felt very scary. And that discomfort also came from my own discomfort, but it also came from knowing that there was like this secret inside of me that wanted to come out. So yeah, it was definitely scary to put this out, but not necessarily because of strangers on the internet, but because of my family. I was afraid of disappointing them, afraid of, what conversations that might bring up, maybe a little bit of pressure, but I decided to hit publish anyways. And what I found on the other side wasn't, of course, anything that I thought. I was met with connection. That article opened up conversations with my family that I never would have had otherwise. Hard conversations, yes. Vulnerable conversations, absolutely. But also very healing and transformative conversations that it opened up. And 4 years later, those conversations are still unfolding in beautiful ways. And I'm so grateful that I decided to write that article and publish it, because even just the way my family has approached our conversations, and also I think the way that they've seen that journey unfold, has let them in on the journey as well. And so that's really what I mean when I say that your story is a portal. It's not just about inspiring strangers on the internet, it's about creating deeper connections with the people in your life that you, the most intimate relationships that you have in your life. It's about finding freedom from fear that holds you back, from the boulders that feel like they are impossible to climb or move. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that feels more honest, more alive, but most importantly, just more you. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Your story really just isn't words. It's a doorway. It is a portal. And the moment that you choose to walk through it, whether it's writing it down, speaking it out loud, or finally sharing the thing that you've been avoiding, you change. And you don't have to wait until you feel ready, because ready is not a feeling. I heard this recently the other day, and that was so powerful to hear. Ready isn't a feeling. You don't have to wait for permission. The act of saying yes to your story is the transformation. That's where you experience what's meant to unfold for you. And on the other side of that yes, that's where the freedom lives, the freedom that is going to look so different for each and every one of us. That's where the deeper connections, the healing, the connection that you've been craving, that's where it starts to unfold. That's where it's living. So if you're listening to this and you're feeling that pull to step into your own portal, to finally write and share your story, that's exactly what we do inside Collective Voices. It's a co-author experience where you get to write a chapter of your story alongside other women who are walking that same path. You'll have the guidance, you'll have community, you'll have structure to take your story from something that has been sitting inside of you to something that's out in the world touching lives. And you get to also reap the rewards of that transformation that you experience from writing your story, that I also got to experience. It is one that I have been able to witness so many incredible women experience now from this moment of saying yes. So if you've been waiting for a sign, maybe this is it. Your story really is meant to be written, and Collective Voices could be that doorway for you. There are limited spaces. We already have 5 beautiful humans, 2 of which are actually coming back to be part of another volume. And it's because this experience is just, it's that good. And some of them have said it's just something that you have to experience for yourself. So if there's something inside of you that's saying, ooh, tell me more. Oh, or, yes, this feels really good. The link is going to be in the show notes to learn more, or you can send me a DM, Words by Ashley Ann on Instagram, and we can chat more. And as always, if you received some sort of value and wisdom and inspiration or transformation in this moment and in this conversation, in this riff, please make sure that you share it out with someone who you feel needs to hear this message too. And of course, hit the subscribe button or the follow button so that you can continue to stay in this community where we continue to go beyond the surface and we break cycles in our lineages and we do the courageous thing of telling our stories. So until next time, keep writing your way home and keep sharing your story. I love you.